Flopsy and the Easter Bunny Olympics, Part 7 of 40. Shadrina marched our 10 dozen deep to the burdened endurance section of the arena and introduced Springer, the coordinator of the 500-meter race. After welcoming us, Springer informed us that we would start our games with his favorite race. All 4 burdened endurance races were staged in the same way. For each race, bunnies were fitted with color-coded weighted twin baskets strapped to our backs. The baskets came in 6 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet, and each basket held 1/2 of the bunny's weight. Bunnies were lined up in 6 rows of 24, and the color of the baskets allowed judges and spectators alike to see who was able to stay with, pull ahead, or fall behind the other bunnies in our groups. I was positioned with the yellow racers as each group of 24 bunnies took to the track and lined up with our groups. After being instructed in how each subgroup would be started, the race official blew the air horn that was a signal for the 24 red basket racers to dash forward. The red group took off to great cheers of excitement, and the orange group moved forward, towed the line, and likewise began running when the air horn sounded again 12 seconds later. Me and my fellow 23 yellow basket companions were next, and we too took off down the long first straightaway, with all of us determined to complete the 2 laps faster than our fellow hoppers. I had read articles written both by and about Easter Bunny winners dating back to before the Here Comes Peter Cottontail What's in a Name 1949 magisterium concerning the need to work not only hard but also smart throughout the 2 hours of competition. I'd been greatly relieved to see that while our first event was a burdened endurance race, it was the shortest of the 4 endurance events. Though the burdened endurance race data was unclear concerning the advisability of going full tilt out of the gate versus pacing yourself to make sure you had enough clover in your belly by the time round 4 rolled around, both the race data and first-hand accounts by previous winners supported a go for broke, run like the wind strategy if the first burdened race was the 500 meter. My first goal was to make it through to round 2, to not be eliminated after 1 round as I had been in January. With this goal as my beacon, I threw caution to the wind and took off as fast as I could and added speed from there. Despite the orange basket bunnies having a 12-second head start, I managed to pass the first orange bunny before we reached the first curve, and taking the outside lane, I set my sights on 2 more bunnies just ahead of me. Seeing the 2 bunnies, I dug a bit deeper, and as I dug, realized that I was enjoying myself. I'd always loved racing, and as I passed the next, I found myself grinning as I came to straightaway number 2. With 125 meters down and 375 to go, I was feeling great about our first event, and the joy I felt allowed me to ignore my hard breathing and pounding chest. Still running hard, I managed to pass 2 more orange baskets when the corner of my eye caught a quick glimpse of a rabbit coming up on my left side and beginning to inch around me as we approached curve number 2. My head twisted left 2, or at most 3 degrees before I again focused forward. Both from running races at school plus my research, I knew that my line of sight should remain forward and not straight and look left or right. In fact, I reminded myself, I did my best when I picked out the runner directly in front of me and chased whatever bunny that was down over and over until we crossed the finish line. A strategy I doubled down on as I managed to pass not only orange bunnies, but even managed to catch my first red basket burdened first wave runner just as my nose crossed the 125 meter mark. My ears were ringing both internally and externally. Running as fast as I could and concentrating on passing as many other bunnies as possible, I wasn't sure if I really heard a chant of "White's in sight! White's in sight!" or if my oxygen-depleted brain was creating this chant all on its own. By the time I arched around curve number 3, there were just 6 red basket burdened bunnies in front of me, and throwing all thoughts of strategy to the wind increased my effort 1 more time. I'd never experienced this level of self-inflicted pain before. The basket's additional weight sent agonizing jolts through my legs with every successive step, and I'd never run this hard this far before. Rounding the final curve, I was certain the crowd was cheering, but just as the thought the bunnies were cheering me on buoyed me upward, a dark voice inside my head whispered, "What if they're chanting, 'White in sights'?" A thought that made me gasp in emotional pain as I reached the front runner and knew we had only 50 more meters to go before this pain-filled task would be complete. Catching and passing the final red basket bunny, I subconsciously relaxed and slowed. Just as I eased off and slowed, another bunny inched into my side peripheral vision, and I dug in for the last 10 seconds of the race, running as fast as I could, pell-mell down to the finish, my vision literally going black as I stumbled across the line.